Hi, I'm Terri Murphy from the Women's Wisdom Network, and thank you for joining me here at Smart Women, Smarter Choices. Here's something that we all have in common. I mean, we did a whole series of surveys, and the one common denominator for women everywhere, well, for people as well, is that we just don't have enough time. Really? Everybody has the same 24 hours, and you're going to say, well, I have children, I have a job, I have two jobs, I have three jobs, I overcommit. Yeah, we all know, we all do that. But one of the things that I found that women really, really want is some kind of guideline. And because it's annoying for some of those people that we know, our friends, that just get so much more done than we do. And we think, my goodness, I'm flat out. I'm working 7 hours, 7 days a week, 100 hours a day. I'm still not getting where I want to go. And I'm going to say, I've got a couple of ideas for that. And one of them is this little video you're going to be able to see and use, and I hope you'll use it. Try to be not in judgment, but in curiosity. I think curiosity is the one thing that helps us open our door so we can affect change. So it's going to start with your mindset, and your mindset is there's not enough time. And I want you to quit saying that. And I'm first in line there, so just so you know. Yeah, there's plenty of time. It's how we choose to spend it. And I'm going to tell you that when we wrote, and I say we wrote the 1 Minute Negotiator, we learned that women have real high adaptability. That's just part of our nature. Our genetics is to have high collaboration and adaptability. Adaptability means sometimes that leads to accommodation, which means simply we put everybody else first. As mothers, we're going to do that. You can't say to an infant, I'm going to feed you when I've got the time. I mean, it's a schedule, it's flexibility. Again, adaptability. But I think one of the issues we have is boundaries. We will tend to take care of everyone else before ourselves. And what that means is that we get what I call reactive instead of responsive, because everybody's got an urgency. And I'm going to guarantee you 99.9% of the time, it's their urgency, not yours. And yet we want to be helpful. We want to be valued. We want to be needed. We want to be a team player. We want to over promise and under deliver. Under promise, over deliver, excuse me. And what does that mean? We put everybody ahead of us, our partners, our careers, our friends, our family, even the pet, even our pets. And if if you have a higher guilt factor than some of us, you're like, oh, I should. You start using that should word. I'm going to ask you to quit shoulding on yourself. When you put yourself first, you draw a line in the universe that says, I got to take care of me. And if you really think that it's selfish, you're right, because you can't help someone if you can't help yourself. If you're down and out, if you're not healthy, if you're too tired, if you're absolutely spent, you can't help somebody else. So for no other reason, I'm going to ask you to give yourself permission to put yourself first. And that means that there's some planning that goes with that. One of the things that I know is that when somebody asks you to do something, very often we will respond before we think about it. And for those of you that are on this side of the behavioral grid, which means you're high amiable or high steady, is that you're going to want to be accommodating and friendly and not cause an issue. The problem is when we say yes to someone else, we say no to ourselves. And if you're like me and you're a high influencer or high expressive, you're going to want to think, oh, that's a great idea. But then you're going to go back into your time bank and see that everybody has that same 24 hours. And if I say yes to that, what am I saying no to for me or my priorities? Now, I'm not suggesting that you start cutting off the kinds of things you want to do, but if you're one of those people that is kind of responsive, you might want to think about saying not yes yet. We use that in negotiating. Not yes yet just means give me some time, let me check my calendar. Maybe I can't do that for you, but I can refer somebody who can. We literally think we need a couple of scripts handy so that we give ourselves permission to give ourselves some space to see if we actually can make that happen. Now, if you've got kids, sometimes that doesn't really happen. But then you want to be a star in your own life. I mean, if you're envious of that woman who always looks well groomed and she's not stressed out and she's not crazed and she probably has a perfect junk drawer, is one of my favorites. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be like that if that's something you want in your life. Organization does help us feel less stressed, but we have a second level to this, and I call it the Wonder Woman syndrome. It all looks great on social media, doesn't it? I mean, really? Here we are vacationing in the Bahamas, and here we are having dinner out, and here we are having this wonderful family thing, and you're thinking, when does she sleep? Well, the fact is that you're not good at everything. You're good at a lot of things. And as a woman empowered, we feel like we have to do everything. And I'm going to say that's a myth. The women that I admire the most are the people that know what they do really, really well and they excel in it, and people pay them for that. And then they delegate the kinds of things that they're not so good at. Now, if you're saying to yourself, so I want you to stop right now, oh, I can't afford this, I can't find anybody, there are no good people, let's just turn off that script for just a second. There are solutions when we are willing to see them. You can empower a woman who maybe has small children or has children in school, who's a QuickBooks expert, as an example. You don't want me doing your QuickBooks. You'll be in jail. I'll be in jail. And we won't have an organization in QuickBooks, but I don't really want to learn it, but I can hire someone to do it. And she then has the income and the opportunity to help her family. If you think that you're the only one that can pull weeds, you could empower somebody who absolutely loves it, who's not allergic to it, who loves being in the sun, to do that for you. If it's that important to you, if it's one of those things on your bug me list, which we feature in our program, Smart Women, Smarter Choices, it zaps your energy. So we're going to give you a little hint here. You've heard it before. Do it, delegate it, or dump it. If we let these non-essential shoulds weigh on us, we become very digiphrenic in our thinking. We keep thinking, oh, I've got to get that done. I've got to get that done. And it really depletes your energy and it really fractures your focus. When you think about it, the people that get things done focus on it and they get that one thing done. You know, Darren Hardy in The Compound Effect talks about time blocking and how sometimes that is a real discipline that we have to learn. But when we consistently do anything over and over again, anything that we have to template more than 3 times can be delegated. Now, so often it does require us, but what can you eliminate that really is important to you, not vital, but I mean, order in your home, getting the car cleaned, dinner. What kind of plans can we put in place so the stress lifts? So if I let this go, it's a good question, what would happen? If I just let go of trying to get all that stuff to Goodwill, what would happen? And then when you start really reducing it to the ridiculous, you can really help yourself. If you're secretly saying, I can't afford it, I want you to think again. If you're paying yourself less money than you're worth on the job market, the hourly market, whatever it is, then to do that particular task, even though it feels really good to get it done, you might want to share giving someone else that. So how do you prioritize? I mean, I hear that, especially from people like me, everything's a priority. I've got to get it all done. Well, not everything's a priority. There are things that are more of a priority, and those are usually the urgent things, not the important things. It's a priority to have your finances in order, and to have some kind of a balance sheet, a budget, if you will. It's important to have that. If there's something that's more important this very second, then you have to decide, is it a priority, is it urgent, or is it just important? When you sit down and you create a My Planned Week, which is one of our tools, the week gives you an opportunity to have a framework for the non-negotiables if we're using negotiation. I like to use a stoplight. Red is non-negotiable. I don't want to work at 6 in the morning. I want it, if that's the nature of your business, if you're an entrepreneur and you're setting your own time. Sunday mornings are sacred time. That's family time or church time. Thursday night's date night with my significant other, or kids night on Wednesdays. When you block it out, the universe hears you. And believe it or not, things will fall into place. It's that inconsistency that we give ourselves by jumping to help everyone else that takes us off of our focus, which takes us out of our prioritization. What's a priority to you? Take a minute. Having lunch is a priority if you need lunch. Not working on every single day when the kids are at softball, it's a priority. No one's going to die in an hour. And if they do, they'll still be dead in an hour. So I'm trying to make this ridiculously simple and a little bit funny, but think of importance as a label or a category that for a task or an activity that aligns with your future vision. If you want to get X% done, if you want to get X productivity, X profitability, what does it take to get there? And that takes us to our third step about prioritizing, which is your strategic plan. If you don't have a strategic plan, then I got here just in time. You got to have a strategic plan, whether it's for your business or your life. If it's for your career, if you have to earn a certain degree to get to a certain point, or if you want to be proficient as an expert, all of these things are important to you, but not to anybody else, because they just want to get ahead and do what they need. And it's not about being selfish. It's just that you're a great resource, because guess what? You always say yes, or you're smart and you already know how to do it. Well, the fact that you already know how to do it has a value. That's why a plumber can come in and make one adjustment and boom, $100 later, but they knew where to make that adjustment. If you have a strategic plan, you're at least on I'd like to say, the railroad tracks. So what's the hardest part of a train is the railroad track. Where is it going? What's direction? East, west, north, south? And then, yeah, putting the cars on are a big deal, but once that train rolls, you can't hardly stop it. It becomes very powerful. And that's what your strategic plan is all about. We start off with 6 months, then we go to because we can actually project in 6 months where we want to be. Then we go to a year. What would happen if I could put all these things then a year from now? I want a vacation. I want to take a week off. I want to spend more time with the kids during football season or baseball season or wrestling season, whatever it is. You're literally the architect of your life. And it's not about, if you bifurcate these kinds of things, that you're going to get richer, because generally people that work harder don't always make more money. It's the people that work smarter. And as women in business, I'm going to tell you, we have multiple roles. We had families, we have children, we have grandchildren, we have friends, we have lots of stuff going on. What are you going to do to take care of yourself so that you can have life by design, not by default? Have a strategic plan. And then get a coach to help you follow it, because sometimes we get lost in the weeds. We do that in January, and by March, it's gone. Now, things like pandemics can throw a real, wrench in the works, but that's where the pivots come in. Roadblocks are okay for a little while. It's the rabbit holes that get you. If you get back in there with the stinking thinking, nothing can help me, I can't do this, there's not enough time, you just don't know my life, you can come up with every excuse you want. I've heard it as a master coach. I'm just going to tell you that when it happens, it's exhilarating, and it puts you back in control, and it gives you the belief system that you can do this. So how are you going to prioritize? Not yes yet. I'm sorry, it's not on my schedule. I don't have time for that. But I know someone who can help you. Empowering people is one of the best ways, I think, to help you get to where you want to go. So check your planned week, block it out. We like to call it at Workman Success, which is one of the coaching companies that I'm the master coach for. We like to call it my perfect week. In a perfect week, this is what we do on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Sort of like that lunch menu you used to have as a kid, meatloaf Mondays, taco Tuesdays. But really, it can be perfect. It won't always execute perfectly, but when you have a plan in place that is reflected in a big time plan, which is your strategic plan, and then you've worked it out in the business plan, which gives you the action steps. Who do I have to hire? What can I do to outsource? It's all going to save you time. If you really want to manage your time in your life, you're going to need help. You cannot do it all by yourself, even if you think you're Wonder Woman, because even Wonder Woman has to have a break. Seriously. So having the week planned out, which aligns with the quarter, which aligns with the annual calendar of what you want to get done and where you want to be, what you want to really get done has to have a spot on your calendar. Now, whether it's paper or whether you use your phone, I like to use paper though, because it shows me where the holes are. That red light is stop, non-negotiable. Green is when you're making money with people. And the yellow is when it's really a cautionary, it's when you work in your business and on your business. But it's that yellow time that gets pulled away, because when you have an appointment, like a doctor's appointment or hair appointment, you make it. Yeah, you can move it around, but they're serious, they're inked. The green ones, when you're making money with somebody, whether it's a meeting with a client or a customer or setting up a presentation for them, that's a gotta. You got to do that. But then that yellow time starts getting kind of ambiguous. That's where we really want to track our time. And we use something called daily habits. And we try to track what did we do all day? You ever get in bed exhausted and you go, wow, what did I get done today? And the reason you don't know is because you were reactive all day. But if you could just put in those blocks that move you towards your goal, just even if it's start off with 15 minutes, set your timer on your clock or get an old egg timer. 15 minutes. It's still, everything works, nothing doesn't. Every step will get you in the right direction if you're going in the right direction. And so when we talk about managing our time in our life, we really want to be more fun. And we can do that when we really pay attention. We'll never control time, events, changes, weather, other people, but we can control ourselves. And if you can keep yourself on a trajectory that gets you where you want to go, then you're going to get there. If you consistently divert and do what everybody else wants you to do or whatever's urgent at that moment, then you're going to have to reevaluate. But at least you'll have the structure to reevaluate. Being more productive every day, it starts with a basic routine, and that gets us into habits. So what are our habits now? I'll bet you get up this morning and you did kind of the same sequence you always do. Get up, hit the bathroom, maybe get your coffee. Some people shower first, then get their coffee. I mean, whatever it is, that's your comfort zone. What we're looking for is new habits, and having a tracker of what we do every day tells us where our habits can be readjusted or where we are literally can delegate out. And maybe even if it's only an hour, somebody walking the dog, although some of us like to do that because it gives us some space. But I'm just going to tell you, if you really want to be wildly attractive, you can't be all stressed out. Nobody wants to be with the cranky pants in the corner. They really want to be with someone like you. One of the other things we talk about as well is how do you hire? So a lot of people say, well, I just can't, I can't find anybody. I mean, nobody can do this. Okay, you're telling your story, I know you believe, but that's not true. You know, there's some great services like Wise Hire. There's some great tools like DISC assessments, which I use all the time, that include motivators, which tells us why someone acts like they do. I mean, imagine hiring somebody you want to have heavy detail on, and that person can't be detailed at all. Well, it's doomed for disaster. It's not a good fit for either one of you. But when you put people with what they're really good at and they want to do that, and they're willing to be part of a team that helps them go where they want to go in their lives, as a leader, that helps you manage your time and theirs, because people want leadership. That's what business is all about, is that people get together for a common thing. So I'm just saying for you, delegations are really important. Hiring, we use behavioral interviewing skills that we've learned, and that's how you hire the right members for your team. You got to have people help you, even if it's project work. So a lot of my clients say, well, I can't afford a full-time person. I want to pay FICA and all that stuff. Like, buy it to try it. Go through a dating series, kind of maybe 30 days where somebody does some project work. They come in for a couple of hours a day. They do it remotely. Something as simple as client relationship management for birthday cards or anniversary cards or sorry we've missed you cards. Find someone who would love to work a couple hours a week, and they don't necessarily have to be driving across town to do that. You have the power to create the life that you want. And yes, there's always going to be those crazy Murphy's Law things that happen, whether shipments don't come in, truck broke down, you know the drill. But I'm going to tell you that when you really are intentional about your focus, when you consistently have your core values there, which is taking care of yourself so you can take care of your customers, and then really writing out what that looks like so that everybody on the team understands where the boat's going. When you do those kinds of things, you mitigate your stress, you accelerate your productivity, because it's a great place to work because everybody's happy, nobody's screaming at each other, and people are getting where they want to go in their lives. It starts with a good focus. It starts with a discipline of being honest with yourself. What can you do? What can you not do? Who can you delegate to? How can you relieve that stress? What's bugging me? So that it's just one of those drainers that keeps you what we call digiphrenia in your head. You're constantly switching. What can you do to give yourself some consistency to living life by design and not by default? I'm hoping this helps you out with Smart Women, Smarter Choices on tips to managing your time in your life to be more productive. And if you have a question, feel free to reach out at terri@terrimurphy.com. Smart Women, Smarter Choices offers a full spectrum of modules that help us address each one of these things so that we can live well and have a business that supports our lifestyle. That is, yep, you're always going to have some kind of challenges in business. But when you have a process in place with initiatives that work when you don't, you're going to feel less stressed and enjoy more quality of life. hoping this helps you. I'm Terri Murphy from the Women's Wisdom Network, Smart Women, Smarter Choices. Join us again for another segment on how we can help you have the best life.